Fantastic. All right, folks at home, we are going to get started in a few minutes. We're just waiting for people outside to come join us. So if you're watching on YouTube, we will be on soon. Hey, folks outside, let's come on in. We're going to get started. That's it. Find a seat, folks. Time to make some friends, lifelong colleagues, enemies, who knows? It's all possible. Welcome, folks. Welcome to the non-token 2049 community. Let's go. Let's go. That's it. Awesome. Wow. Thanks everyone for braving the rain. First of all, I didn't think there were going to be that many people. There's multiple events going on in Sydney as well. And like I said, there's Token 2049. Yeah, there's something upstairs, right? And there's Token 2049 in Dubai. Hands up who's got FOMO that they're not in Dubai. Okay. Let the record attest on chain that the majority of us were. Before I begin today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we gather, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to the elders past and present, as well as to emerging leaders. So thanks for that, Chris. So I am Mark, the what do I call myself? I don't know. President of the Oz DeFi Association, co-founder of Not Centralized. My colleague Arturo, he may come along, and if that is the case, hide your keys. I don't know. There'll be something there. No, he's really good. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that we'll be announcing in terms of work that we've been doing. But tonight is more about you guys. It's more about the community. We're going to hear some amazing talks. We're going to see some really interesting insights as well that we don't normally get access to. So I thank our new sponsor, Kevin at Proof of Search, for that. We're going to get an update on what's going on with Stand With Crypto, because the website's up and running, and Liam's going to take us through that. And we've got some friends that have come far and wide. Katarina's all the way over from Jamaica. So thank you for coming along, Katarina. Back in the Wales section, her seat is reserved. We're going to have to etch it in there. If you've been following us for the last couple of years, you'll know that the front row is definitely always reserved for Katarina at all events. So the next slide. So we've got our QR code, typical link tree type thing. If it's your first, actually, who is it their first time coming to one of our events? Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. It's one of these things that we started back 3.5 years ago as a little WhatsApp community. It grew into a Discord, and then people said, "Can you just run an event?" We said, "No, but I'll meet you at the pub." And then like 30 people came along. Then some other people saw us posted on LinkedIn, and it turned into just an ongoing series of events. I think by last count, we've run nearly 60 of these over the last 3 years. So it's an amazing achievement, and we couldn't do it without people like you coming along. So QR code, that's there. We're going to get through a few quick updates. So we always do updates, then the presentations. There's plenty of networking, as you just experienced outside. This is some images from the last event. The first one's kind of subdued. It's Cameron from PaintSwap promoting the Sonic blockchain as part of Sonic Down Under. So they ran hackathons and some development stuff going on there. We had a panel as well on layer 2s, challenger layer 1s. So some blockchains like Sonic, Red Belly Network, if you haven't heard about them, they're an Australian blockchain we speak about a lot. They're running an AMA really early tomorrow morning. So if you're up at the crack of dawn, 7 a.m., I think they're going to run an AMA. And there's something going on there on the other side there. There was a nice giveaway from OKX. Where are my OKX people? Hands up. Right at the back, there's Mark there. And then there's another Mark. my namesakes, the Mark Twin triplets. Look out for us later on. I am wearing an OKX hat. They are one of our sponsors. They had a giveaway at the last session. So, this is one of the reasons to come along to the events. And we also had some sponsor announcements and stuff, and we'll talk about one of the other sponsors. We had two sponsors come on board last month. So one is Fableration. So Lisa Wade, who was here before, she spoke about what they're doing in terms of like the publishing industry and using blockchain to get royalties and benefits to writers far sooner than the traditional kind of methods. Just blockchain, added again, which is great. We'll see a video from her soon. Before we get to that, if you haven't seen it already, we've got a new AusDeFi website, so defi.org.au. It's been rebuilt thanks to AI. Thanks to just constant tinkering and my ADHD, we've been able to build something up. It means that you can do things like go to the meetups or podcast page. And when you go to that and you select a video, not only do you see the video on the page, but you can ask questions and still remain watching the video. That's a great screen capture moment for me. You can even ask things from the meetups, like, did Mark say anything stupid or funny? And how would you rate his jokes? You can ask these things, anything that's on your mind. If it's in the transcript, it's the truth, right? So that was there. There's another thing that we've got. There's other advocacy kind of tools in the app as well. So people used to ask us, like, I want to explain these crazy concepts. I didn't understand what someone said at a meetup. Guess what? In the Textionary area, you actually get to type things in and you will get to see what that is all about. You can ask about smart contracts. You can copy and paste an article, a whole article or a white paper, and just get it to explain it like you're 5, or get it to explain it like, I don't know if we show it there. Okay. You can get it to explain it in an intermediate fashion or advanced. There's tools out there for that. We'll jump back into some other tools there after we do Stand with Crypto, but I just want to show you a quick message from Lisa Wade of Fableration. This goes for 2 minutes, I think. Oh, 1 minute.
Firstly, that hackathon, the one with the one Bitcoin prize. We're going to give out more details at the Deck a Week. And tonight we're announcing a pre-registration link. So we want everyone to get involved. There's so many ways for people to get involved. If you're into marketing, if you're a coder, we really want powerful teams in this hack. So pre-register and get involved, get everyone you know in, even if they're not in blockchain. The whole idea is to further blockchain and AI. There will be a bit of a theme that's coming through, and a lot of it will be around finance. And at Fableration, we really see our use case as a way of tying real-world activity into tokenization, and we'd like to explore that with the industry. The second thing I want to talk about is the Blockchain for Good podcast and the Amanda Wick edition that's coming out next week. So get all over that. And don't forget, pre-registrations opening for the hack, one Bitcoin prize. Let's go.
Wow. 1 Bitcoin, folks. Only one, I know. But I'm joking. That is the QR code for it. Scan that. That should go to a Fableration site where you can pre-register your details for the hackathon. There is also, if you're a budding writer, if you're creative, they've also got a Bitcoin giveaway for a writing competition. So worth going to the Fableration site. And then there's other things that they're going to be doing, so more to be announced there. And we've got a nice little partnership with them. And the podcast that I showed you before, that is all about blockchain for good. And it's blockchain with AI capitalized because it's blockchain and AI. We spoke to Sarah Cower, who's from the CSIRO, formerly CSIRO, about how AI design can really help. We spoke about things, how blockchain helps AI. Imagine that in the AI space, we need to prove that humans are in the loop. Where are you going to record that? I can't just trust the database. Having worked in blockchain, I want it to be recorded with a zero knowledge proof on there that only gets shown to people when things don't fall over. That only gets shown to people who are allowed to see this kind of stuff. So I think the interesting thing there is the convergence of these technologies. So more on that kind of stuff. Watch this space. And then OKX. So you saw there's a few people here. I am wearing the hat. They've got a new thing that was announced last week, which is not last week, the last event that we were at. Kate Cooper stood here. We had a fun little giveaway questionnaire session. I forgot what the Kahoot. Hands up here who's played Kahoot before. Yeah, more than I only just found out about it last time, so I feel like I've been living under a rock. We should do more Kahoot stuff, but during the Kahoot, it was announced about Generation O, and it is this new community driven group. We're going to be part of it. You'll hear more about it. It's going to back things like hackathons. It's going to back things like community events and much more. So really interesting stuff. And not that one. We don't play the video. If you want to learn more, there is, I think that QR code is for the video, so you can learn more, but we'll be announcing stuff as well. All right. So I'll give that a few seconds. 3, 2, 1. No. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We good? All right. I'm going to move. Sorry, folks. Tonight's guests. Last time we did this, there was a whole Studio Ghibli phase. And if you know me, I'm not just doing these events, but I also work in the space. My colleague Arturo, he does a lot of work with blockchain. He does the tokenization platforms, etc. For me, I'm doing a lot of work in AI, building out knowledge-based products, tinkering around with things, building the Oz DeFi website. If you're into finance, I built etftracker.com.au, which has nearly 800 users now. It's amazing the things that you can build when the barriers of entry are lowered, and AI definitely helps out with that. Studio Ghibli was the theme last time for the presenters. We have a bit of a different theme this time. So we've got Liam here, who you'll recognize from Coinbase. So here he is as Chatchapon, or I can't remember the exact term for it, but it's those toys that you get out of the vending machine. Kevin, we've represented you here as one as well. And then you'll also see Praz from Zero Cap. I know you're not suited up today on the left. We've also got Josephine here, and I didn't know you were coming down, Katarina. I didn't get it in time. Next time we'll get one of yours up. Lisa Wade, who you just heard from Fableration, and then the final one. So Chris up the back, and you might recognize the guy on the on the right. I think I'm wearing the same outfit too, except with proof of socks, which we'll talk about soon. Yeah, that really looks like me. It's crazy. The things you can do with AI. But I'm so tall, Chris. I'm so tall that I stick out of the egg. Yeah. Anyway, if you saw me and Chris in real life, you would realize that is not to scale. I am much less. Anyway, we're gonna get to stand with crypto with Liam. So hold your horses, Liam. Come on up. You doing the slides on this? Yeah. Just tell me, and I'll change it. We'll go back.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks everyone for your time. This is very brief, 4 or 5 slides. Maybe just a show of hands to begin with, though. Who knows what Stand with Crypto is? You're wearing the shirt, so I know you do. And outside we got the pins. I put a handful of pins up there. I think they were all gone now. But look, Stand with Crypto, global movement of crypto entrepreneurs and enthusiasts. This was actually sort of, I think, a brainchild of Brian Armstrong, the founder of Coinbase over in the US. Sort of really, as a kind of, if you look at the results, the most pro-crypto Senate that the US has ever had after their election late last year, but very bipartisan. Sort of any politician, that is willing to listen. Stand with Crypto is wanting to sort of have that conversation with them. Advocating for pro-crypto government policy, fit for purpose legislation in order to drive growth and adoption. The next few slides, we're just going to talk to what Mark sort of mentioned. There's a brand new website that just went live. And pretty much the ask from anyone here in the room is, if you do want to get involved, firstly, to join the movement, we'll put a QR code up at the end where you can sign up and kind of become a member of Stand with Crypto, but also just from a practical sense, emailing your MP. I think there's both a really great way on the website, as well as what Mark will show in terms of with AI, where you can literally just hit a button, put your postcode in, and your MP will sort of hear about it. So that's what the new website looks like on the left. Just got a big makeover and rebrand. We actually held an event with Oz DeFi back in December. A bunch of familiar faces here. We also had the member for Parramatta, Andrew Charlton. He, sort of said the soundbite that we were always really keen to hear, which is "I stand with crypto." But since then, we've held events across pretty much every capital city in Australia. Members of both major parties who have kind of attended those, and both interacted with this on social media, but also sort of mentioned in Parliament as well. So you can actually see here, it's very kind of, I don't know, who knows of Kogan? And it's like someone in the suburb next to you just bought a toaster, but it's sort of like someone in this state just wrote to their MP. So you can kind of see what's actually happening in real time, people who are signing up, who are sort of messaging their MPs. And then obviously that tweet the other day from Brian as it kind of launched. So launched in the US with over 2 million signups and members there. And very quickly we've had ourselves, Canada and the UK sort of join the party. And you can actually also go and see of the current parliament in Australia who is somewhat pro, neutral, and negative. I think the real call out here is that there aren't a bunch of politicians that have really come out and said they are pro crypto. And so I think this really shows the education piece. So far, a lot of them have been really willing to listen. We had actually down in Melbourne for the launch of Stand with Crypto, the guys from Oshi Gallery. We had the guys from Hashlock, a bunch of other kind of startups and founders, and put them in front of the Tech Council of Australia, so the likes of sort of Atlassians, Canvas, Upbanks of the world, just to showcase what's actually being built in this space from a practical sense. And there was kind of everyone was really intently listening. So they're willing to have the conversation. I think it's just getting in front of them and having that opportunity sort of in the first case. So we'll put the QR code up at the end, but you can actually get involved. You can join, you can email your MP, as I mentioned. You can sort of view all of this stuff. You can follow us on all the socials. That really helps as well. And sort of LinkedIn, Twitter. I think there's an NFT that you can kind of mint as well if you want to connect your wallet to it. Otherwise, you can just sort of do an email address. I think this should be, yeah, this is, back one. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, so that's kind of the meetups that we've had. So we were up, we obviously had, where are we? I think I didn't put the one in from December last year, but we're up in Brizzy in February. The one up there is from Melbourne. We were in Brizzy again with the UNCB guys just last month at UNSW. So we've sort of done, Sydney, Perth, Brizzy, Melbourne. And if you aren't from Sydney, you are from somewhere else in Australia, you have connects from the likes of Canberra, Adelaide, Darwin, some of these places that we would love to get, Hobart, whatever it is, and you want to hold a meetup, or you want to, introduce your community, your crowd to Stand with Crypto, come and chat to me afterwards. David Menz, who's our APAC policy guy, he would love to hear from you, because just like what we did with the UNCB guys at UNSW, is we can sponsor the event. We can put, some pizzas on, drinks, whatever it is, and either have someone from our team or someone who might be passionate about it to chat to the audience and let people know and bring them along for the journey. So to wrap up, I think we just have the QR code. If you want to give that a scan, it should just take you straight to the Aussie website that's been rebranded. You can whack your details in that one. I think I've got a QR code on my shirt, so if you want to scan that one later too, it's the exact same thing. But no, look, really appreciate it. I'll hang around after if you do have any questions. But obviously, we do this Saturday have a federal election coming up, and so this is kind of of the moment. It is really important, and this last week we just had a bunch of series go live on socials all about debanking. I myself received a letter from one of the big four banks in the mail the other day talking about how you can only do this and you can only do that with your own money. And so there's some real sort of stories from people who have lost bank accounts, have lost business bank accounts, have been shut out of accessing their own funds just for operating and being a part of crypto. So it is really timely. It is really important here. And we want to be able to spread that message and support every one of you who's in this room building and trying to sort of advance the space. So I'll hang around after if there's any questions, but appreciate the time.
Has anyone in the room been debanked with all the current stuff going on? A few. It's interesting, right? It stifles innovation. I get some messages from the bank side about like not having the right kind of people in the risk departments, but I think it's one of those things that we need to show how crypto and blockchain, especially that technology, is being used to drive more than just trading. Trading is great and stuff, but like how it's actually really changing the world in terms of supply chain, in terms of being able to prove that things have happened, which is much needed in the AI space, and tokenization of real world assets. There's a lot of innovation going on there. So something to remember. If anyone in here is running a business and needs help with, or has had issues with debanking, come see me after class. We're looking at piecing something together to help out there. So, Professor Mark. And just to build off of, this event is pieced together thanks to Stand with Crypto. So just want to acknowledge that we would not be doing this because we already ran something in April, on the 2nd of April. So thanks to you guys. It gets me out of bed. I wanted to show something. So one of the things that you will get when you sign up for Stand with Crypto is in your profile, there's a couple of different tasks to complete. And one of those is to write to a member. And the great thing is they've already connected things up so that you can write a message. But it is that generic message there. If you wanted to add a bit more spice to it, on defi.org.au, if you go to support letters, works on mobile too, you can do something like this. I know it's a bit harder to see here, but you've got your representative. You can type in their name, or you don't have to, because we're going to copy things over to Stand with Crypto. But you put in like person's details, you put in your details. On the next slide, you can put in at the top, I've scrolled down, but like I'm concerned about blockchain because it's like it's good tech. We need to innovate, not stifle innovation, and whatever else you want to say. You might say that pigs are bad for blockchain. It'll take it into account. It'll be clever with it too. But then you can tick a few boxes. You can use a few sliders. It's style settings. Like, do you want it informal or like more formal? Do you want it shorter or longer? Do you want it less technical or more technical? And do you want it to be, in terms of analogies, fewer or lots of analogies? And when you do all of that, the AI will generate you the letter, and you can copy that letter into what Stand with Crypto have got, so we can, be really supportive of each other. There is another tool that we've got, and the other thing is, and we don't have it activated yet, but one of the things you can do with OzDeFi's website, defi.org.au, I'll say it again, you can, when you log in, there is an ability to profile yourself, and you can ask questions to a couple of research papers that we've been collecting. Over time, I'm going to make it so that whenever you're using any of the tools, it takes your personality into account. So just, trying to make it, have more and more hyper personalization there. So that is something. And if you want to learn more about it, please ask me after class, like I said. And then, like I said, we've copied it over on the Stand with Crypto page. I didn't send it because I still wanted to tweak it, but I literally did this just before this session. So, how do we use tools like this to make our lives easier and support crypto? Now, the next one, if I could get Kevin Gibson up on stage, our latest sponsor. I'm gonna grab a mic. See if those are on.
Hello. How you going?
Fantastic. All right, Kevin. Before we get started, man,
Sure.
you just you've come back from a big trip.
Yeah, I've just been in West Kazakhstan on a motorcycle for a week. Yeah, it's pretty good. I've been to Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, so I like riding around bikes in the stand. So yeah, just got back from there.
A motorcycle for a week. I have trouble on an exercise bike for an hour. How did you stay on a motorcycle for a week?
Well, I was born on a sheep farm, so I've been riding motorcycles around the bush since I was 10. So I was around the steppe and all that sort of stuff, rocks and sand. So it was fun. I love it. It's great fun. Great fun.
Fantastic.
And one thing I must say, people say, oh, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, that sounds scary. It's absolutely not true. It is a wonderfully safe, amazing place to go. I really recommend any of the stands. Is just fabulous. The level of sort of village kind of engagement you get. You ride your motorcycle into a village in one of these villages. It's like you've landed from outer space. Kids just come running around, and I travel with little mini koalas and chocolates, and I also travel with one of those Polaroid cameras to take photos and give to the kids. So it's a great experience. I recommend it.
Amazing stuff there. And if you want to learn more, definitely in the networking, if you're still sticking around and stuff, people can learn more. But how did you get into crypto and all this space? What is your background before we get into the questions?
Yeah, so I'm a lifetime recruiter. So I spent most of my life in a large English recruiting firm called Robert Walters in Sydney, England, Singapore. Ran Japan, and I ran Latin America for 5 years as well. And like all of us, I was punting crypto in the pandemic, feeling pretty smart. I knew what I was doing, but I wanted to come back to Australia. And in 2021, because I've been overseas for 25 years, and when you start a recruiting business, you kind of want three things. You want a high growth industry, you want a lack of competition, and you want skill scarcity. So in 2021, crypto was tick, tick, tick. So I came back and started Proof of Search. I didn't want to have blockchain or crypto on my name. So Proof of Search kind of is a bit of a dog whistle to the smart contract developers that I know how a consensus mechanism works. So it's been a great. And if you notice, my logo is actually a 3D rendering of 7 blocks, just for those people who've got that 3D sort of aspect to their visuals.
And you've got it's not just the sign there, but I am wearing a bit of proof of
The
sock.
brand new merch, the proof of socks, for all of our place candidates and clients. Proof of socks. There you go. Only for special people. Hot off the press for you, Mark.
Interesting insights that you are able to provide, because like you talk to people from all around this amazing community, analysts, developers, traders, just interested folks, policymakers, politicians, just general public. It's really interesting stuff, but I don't know if we've ever had, and apologies to my past self if we did have, but I don't think we've had recruiter up on stage. And I think you've got a really interesting perspective as to the things that you've seen here and globally. So the first question is on skill sets that are in demand. What do you want to share with us about that?
Yeah, sure. Just one thing to bear in mind when it comes to the crypto market and the corresponding sort of recruiting market, it definitely runs in parallel with the price of Bitcoin, and the skills that are in demand kind of change depending on which part of the cycle you're at. So now that we're sort of on this sort of this mirage kind of bull market we keep expecting tomorrow morning, there's really sort of two core areas, skill sets, which companies are looking for. One is product managers, right? Because when you say a product manager, it can mean different things in different companies. It can be technical, it can be operational and coordinating, or it can be very client and sort of partner focused, right? Now, what companies are looking for now is product managers that are able to talk tech, herd all the cats, and also sort of work with your partners. So it's almost like a mini CEO within the company, and it will be the defining factor in many cases if a product gets up and going. Because a lot of companies are looking, particularly in DeFi, to go mainstream, and often the product has just got too much friction, it's too complicated, and a great product manager can be all the difference to a successful company. So if all the jobs I'm getting right now, that is one of the two in huge demand, because you've got to combine great communication skills, great commercial skills, but understanding tech and coordinating stuff as well. So it's a really unique combination of skills, and the good product guys are in huge demand at the moment. The one other area which is in big demand is heads of community. Now, a community manager role and position is quite unique to crypto. It's part customer service, it's part marketing, it's part troubleshooting, it's part internal communications, and it's very, very unique to crypto. And if you don't get it right, your project will die, okay? And if you go back to, I started this just over 4 years ago in the heat of the bull market, and the people they put in community manager roles were a bunch of graduates who used to run Discords, and that was, mods and that sort of stuff. And it was great when the tokens were doing that. But when it all fell apart and the narrative started getting messy and the bear market kicked in, those poor kids were on the front line of a lot of really aggressive hate from the community. So companies have worked out now they need far more well-rounded, mature, business-orientated people to run that community. So when things get heavy, I think a great example is Mantra this week. Mantra a couple of weeks ago, right? That dropped 90%, and the way they have engaged with the community to keep that project live is a great example of what good community managers do. So community managers can help grow your business, and in many cases save your business as well. So community managers, product managers are really what's in demand right now.
Any investors in Mantra here that want to admit it? Okay, cool. Next,
yeah.
What companies are looking for in terms of talent in 2025 so far? I can't believe we're at the end of April. I know. Anyway.
Yeah, well, as I said, I started this 4 years ago in the previous bull market, and back then you could get a job by saying, "I'm working on a stealth project. I've got some Solidity experience. I want 150 grand." Go, okay. And off you go. And I saw some just absolute muppets get, great jobs. I'm like, what? Because I mean, you had a lot of small companies had just been given $10 million to grow a business really quick, and they were just hiring, any guy that could, tell a good story, right? Whereas right now, if you look at what's happened in the last 4 years, there's been some great protocols built, some great businesses built, and companies are looking for two things. They're looking for someone that has actually got something in the market right now that can go and check. Did it get off the ground? Is it working? Is it not some stealth? You're turning up and saying you're working on a stealth project, forget it. You're out of the project. You're out of the running. So something that people can see, touch, and see that's got some traction and is easy to use. That's one thing. And the other thing is some people who've actually managed to keep their job during the bear market. If you have managed to keep your job and stay in the same company from 2021 to now, mate, you are hot property. You are considered, managed material, people who are good enough to stick in it. So two things, I keep things in twos, right? So people who've stayed in the same company for the bear market and have got something which is people can look and touch and feel out there.
Fantastic. The next one, how to assess DeFi Web3 talent.
It's sort of connected to this. What we do as recruiters is go out and do a lot of reference checking and sort of, triangulation of what people are really like. So, without sort of pumping my own sort of tires of my own business model, using a recruiter like us, we go out and we network and we talk to people and we actually find out the backstory to a lot of people. So defining actually what people's reputation are is very, very important, and how they've actually worked with the team, because a lot of, companies that, I work with are quite small, and, adding a new team member can be very, very, critical. You get it wrong. It's the one bad apple thing is, it's not just a cliche, right? So to go out and actually assess, what they've worked like, and actually go out and actually use the product. Okay, you've done this and this. Instead of just going, oh, that looks good. Yeah. Get in and use it, and, because if you take that extra 20 or 30 minutes to go in and actually dig around on this, you've got to, not every candidate, but if a candidate's at second or third round, spend 20 or 30 minutes looking at what they built. It'll really help you sort of, get the final candidate. So it takes a bit of work, but it's worth it.
Fantastic.
Everyone's interested in this. When I spoke to Mark before he came up here today, I said, are we going to have people who are like, just looking for jobs or looking to build teams, right? Because both of those are very, very important to people. If you go through your life, there's a couple of things you look back on: how much money I'll get paid, and if you're a leader, how did I build my team? So both, pretty important. So I've tried to split this into sort of, both camps: people looking for a job and people looking to build a team.
Who's looking for money?
And those.
What
I'm going to say, but the one thing everybody is interested in: how much am I going to get paid? Well, got some good news for you. So, if you look at during the, there's, people say to me, "Oh, what's it like recruiting in crypto?" I'm like, it's like champagne or razor blades. It's either awesome or absolutely terrible, right? And you didn't want to be running a recruiting firm in November 2022. Let me tell you that much. But what happened in that bear market was this. Obviously we had the United States, which was just so anti-crypto. People were fleeing out of there. Everyone was going to Asia. Everyone was sort of building outside. So what happened, there was a lot of people who were focusing on low-cost talent, right? So that, India was huge, Pakistan was huge, Philippines, all of those. So and crypto is a global business. So as a result, the average salaries got pushed down because, there was so many low-cost countries getting involved with good people. What's happening now with, what's happening in the United States with the pro-crypto thing, and a lot of American companies gearing up, that's happening. So everything is getting rebased to a US dollar amount, right? And that helps all of us, okay? And the other thing is people are looking for people to actually work in the office. And there's going to be a lot of, people having to go to offices in Silicon Valley, and salaries are going to start screaming up at a really rapid rate in the next 3 to 6 months. And it's going to pull the whole market up around the world. So if you're hiring, get in quick. But if you're looking for a job, it's all good news from here on out.
And get to the office.
Thanks.
All right, next one.
That's it.
Oh, that was it. Sorry.
Oh, I kept it to 10 minutes.
Mate, fantastic.
Done.
Actually, we probably got time for like a question or two. Does anyone have any questions in the audience? Yes, hang on. Can you pass this mic over to Justin?
Just equity. Actually, I'll actually cover this side question here, and I'll get to it quickly. You're the lady from Jamaica? Cool. Yeah, it's with salary trends, people are a lot more skeptical about getting tokens. It's like basically here's a book of raffle tickets, or even equity. A lot of things have got to go right in the next 3 years for that to happen. So that if you dial it back to the number of people that have been disappointed by not getting that equity or tokens because it all went to shit. So people are a lot more risk averse this time around, especially those people who've managed to keep their jobs during the bear market. They've got I've got a pretty interesting perspective on things. So look, it's great to have, but it should always be, an adjunct to the core base salary. Sir.
Hi, my name's Justin. I just had a question as far as from the applicant standpoint.
Yep.
Like, is it fairly similar to traditional, and with resumes and interviews, is it a different process? And on the resume, how much do you include of like, oh, I was meme coin trading and farming this protocol, but also I have a normal job? Like, how do you kind of mix all of that together?
So you're talking about someone who's not full-time in crypto, but wants to get into crypto by using their sort of, their personal sort of crypto journey as a part of that. Yeah, it's a very good point. Because the majority of my life was working in banking and accounting, recruiting. And if you turn up at Goldman Sachs saying, yeah, I'm doing some commodity trading on the weekend, they'd laugh at you. Whereas actually in crypto, actually people who want to get into crypto, it actually that thing carries a lot of weight. And I've done some work in sort of with DeFi companies, and sometimes I get people come to me and say, "Oh, can you help me get into a crypto job?" It's a bit hard for me because I get paid for experienced people. But what I tell people is this: that experience that you are doing on the side with the meme coins and the DeFi and the DEXs and liquidity provision and stuff actually does really help. So make sure you go into detail and expand on that. My personal crypto commitment, if you like, because people say, "Are you really committed? Are you doing it on your own?" And it shows that you're actually doing it. So it is definitely got value, and it does get you through a door a lot of times.
Fantastic. And if you stick around, there'll be some more like networking and stuff later where you can answer some more questions if you're around. Are you sticking around?
I've always liked taking questions.
Fantastic. All right. See you after class. All right. Thank you very much, Kevin. And for the folks that that's okay. Mic drop moments. They always happen.
Drop,
and for folks that weren't able to be here, socks to be you. So anyway, next slide. Let's do it. Could I get Praz up on stage? Come on.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I think the last one or the one before was my first DeFi or Oz DeFi Association event, and I loved it. Mark's been talking to me about this for the last 3 to 4 years, and I finally made it to one. And I said, Mark, better get up and tell the story next time I'm here. So thanks, Mark, for having me along. The story is a Zero Cap story. I've been part of the Zero Cap family for about 4.5 years. And as Kevin said, being part of that last cycle when I did join in 2021 made me want to share the story from the beginning. Usually you love to talk about what Zero Cap does, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Zero Cap. So I'll click away the next one and get right into the story. So yeah, the story began in 2016 before I joined because and I was raising capital. So in 2012, I raised for the first ever Bitcoin exchange to be set up in Australia. I know there's a bit of a debate between BTC Markets and Independent Reserve. There was Independent Reserve here in Sydney. We raised 400K and got it started, saw it at a business plan stage. So when I joined Zero Cap, it was when I had to jump all in, and it was very much like the founders at Zero Cap, John, Trent, and Ryan. So Jonathan DeVette, Ryan McCall, Trent Barnes, they sold their own businesses. It was always good to know how it all started. And they came from different backgrounds. So John's from an FX background. Ryan was in digital tech. He was a digital app builder. He was working with banks and building. So he originally became the CEO. John became the CIO, and Trent, who was the visionary, and he was in recruitment. So he sold a recruitment business in traditional markets. So he came into crypto. There were crypto bros hanging out, skydiving together. If you go next, Mark. Yeah, they started investing in ICO projects in 2017, and we'll click through and have a look at the first skydive these guys did together. If it plays there, yeah, this is. Does it let you click on it? Yeah, that's all right. That's them skydiving. So the one before, yeah, this is Trent and John first skydiving together. Did some record tandem skydive together. They bonded through this. See Trent jumping towards John, and the bonding. Either you live or die in those moments. The next one is click again for John and Ryan. So they didn't actually know each other. Their partners were best mates at school. So they came together, and then I think it was a wedding present or something that was to go skydiving. So Ryan took that and he jumped with John there. Does that play? You can see those two jumping together right about now. Skip through that. We can go to the next one. Yeah, it is pretty scary. They literally jumped off for the first time, and that's how they kicked off. So we'll go to the next slide. And it kind of gives you a bit of background on these guys, how they bonded together, and obviously investing in ICOs and losing a lot. But they backed some cool projects back in those days, like Phantom, and Trent got into Polkadot early. And these guys were building up a bit of a VC portfolio. David Wolse is here. He's the co-founder of Primal, which is a VC fund. If we keep going, we'll get to the actual gist of the story. On the next slide, yeah, keep going through. We'll skip through this part where Ryan's freaking out. Yeah, so the next part is where we launch an institutional custody platform in 2020. We were the first Fireblocks customer to set up. Fireblocks, was just coming in. Oh, actually, they weren't even here in Australia. So these guys reached out and brought Fireblocks along. Just click through. Just click through the points. I'll just. They had the first customer. Oh, there's French.
Congratulations, ZeroCap, the winner of Finest Best Innovation in Digital Currency. The judges love how ZeroCap been able to minimize the price volatility involved with investing in Bitcoin. They were also impressed.
Oh, yeah. No, let the dots come through. That's fine. Dodgy animation job. Sorry. I'll keep telling the story. So one of the first clients we had was the Victor Smorgon Group, a family office in Melbourne. Obviously, the guys were in Melbourne, meeting up with family offices, wanting to buy their first Bitcoin back in 2017. And they got the Smorgon family, not only became the first client, but ideally your first investor. And that's the best way to start off. And I think a lot of you are starting your own businesses. And it's good to know that you got your first investor, first client to back your story. And thought I'd share that with you guys on. We're at a growth stage now from going from a startup, but it's always good to kind of remember how the roots began and the first client, first family office, and to now that's the only external investor that we got backing from, who's an external shareholder. Now the team also got built up. The core team was built with an ESOP plan, and it's pretty good to share the equity with the core team, and I'm still there, and with some of our original team there. We won a few awards, as Fred's announcing, the Best Digital Currency Innovation Award, and then we won the Finnies. After that, and skip to the next one. Yeah, play it now, see if it works.
Congratulations, ZeroCap, the winner of Finest Best Innovation in Digital Currency. The judges love how ZeroCap have been able to minimize the price volatility involved with investing in Bitcoin. They were also impressed by the impact the still young product has had, growing both their user base and asset under management, helping more people every day.
Yep. Keep going through. So yeah, we won a whole bunch of awards. I think we won it 3 years consecutive, the Blockies Awards, and last year I was proud to present that to Independent Reserve. So it's kind of gone back around to presenting to a company that I was there at the beginning as well. We're involved with the AUDD stablecoin, some Reserve Bank pilots as well. So the story has evolved since then. So you can click through the next points. Yeah, and look, we were the first firm to offer crypto structured products under our derivatives license. First to create an insurance around holding crypto in your digital asset custody as well. As I mentioned, there's been some really cool, press media releases about ZeroCap, doing some work with stablecoin and the RBA pilots and doing ASX trading and clearance for. But I think all that we've done, and Hugh's here, is our PR guy, got us into the AFR quite a lot. Really created and painted a picture at the start. And I think it's good to start painting that picture early as a growth business. And really wanted to share with you all because, the 7-year journey has been a phenomenal journey. And usually, get up and start talking about the next slide, which is where we'll talk about our actual product offering. And that's just, been our bread and butter now. We just do what we do best, provide OTC liquidity. All the exchanges in Australia get liquidity through ZeroCap now. Got our derivatives trading desk ramping up. Market making was there right at the start. And, when I joined ZeroCap, I asked the guys at Independent Reserve, who's ZeroCap? And they said, oh, they're one of the best market makers. And they're across all the exchanges. So that's how we started out. And we've stayed true to the roots. And we're still there doing market making, not necessarily tokens, but across exchanges. And the custody business is still evolving, and we're partnering with all the best custody providers now. We made a recent announcement with BitGo and doing some work with Zodia and the likes as well. So yeah, that's the ZeroCap story. If we go to the next one, what I was really called here to do is the market update. So I'll just get into the real market update of what's going on in the market right now. So as you all know, Bitcoin's going strong at 95K, continues to grow in strong resurgence. And look, we knew the market would pick up around this time again. The predictions are there at the halving cycle to hit around June, July. I'm calling 150K to 200K in the next June, July cycle. So we are at that starting tipping point. The resilience and the face of volatility with bond markets going, the geopolitical uncertainty. Obviously, there's a lot of, I guess, the fundamentals are lining up really well to where Bitcoin's placed right now and the rest of the crypto market. But the main thing to highlight here is what's happening at the treasury side. So we see MicroStrategy add another 655 or 6,556 Bitcoin. Now that's taking the total Bitcoin holding to 553,555. That's over 52 billion in Bitcoin. Now the second largest holder is a miner in the public domain, and that's about about 5 billion. Yeah. So yeah, these guys are 10 times their holding. So the crypto treasuries has risen up about 3.16%, as you can see there, in the past 30 days. Liquidity remains robust with tokenization. Now, tokenization, we talk about the real world asset tokenization, but real impact has been down to the tokenized finance initiatives. Now, we're seeing BlackRock taking off there at the moment with their treasury fund. That's driving a lot of the price action at the moment. We're not talking about that yet, but the USDC stablecoin issuer, Circle, now about to go IPO on the NASDAQ, and that's going to be a huge, general financial market update. Now, Circle has been approved in principle in the UAE. I'm sure they're going to be talking about that at the token 2049. So Hugh asked me to give a tip. Now, I'm going to give a tip on which altcoin, which Praz's altcoin. Now, I want to ask a question back to you all. Now, I don't have a coin, but what's the first ever coin that we've forgotten about? I put my hand up earlier when I backed Mantra Trash. I did 10x and then I bought in right at the bottom again. I did the same again with Luna. Now, we've forgotten about the first ever coin. What is that? What is the first ever minted coin that we should be all looking at right now? Way before. First ever. Yes, what is that one? Well, no, not one, the coin. I mean a real, it's up there in the world. No? It was the first minted coin. Now, we know it as Bitcoin, but really what it is the Satoshi. All right? So there's 100 million Satoshis in each Bitcoin. Go and collect your Satoshis. That's my call. Cheers.
Fantastic. Alrighty. Market updates, they're always fun. And I didn't realize that there was going to be skydiving in there. Normally we have market updates that go that way, but that's okay too. And it is quite poignant for the market as it has been. Alrighty, so how do I... All right, we've got an exciting one next. We've got our friends at Calico. I'm going to go back a few slides. Josephine, were you here at the start? You weren't? Okay, so you might have missed it. So, oh, actually, you know what? I'll put it back at the end. We're gonna have trouble with the videos playing. It was just because of how the slides worked and stuff. But anyway, we're gonna learn more about Calicu. Are both of you coming up on stage? Yeah. All right. If you want to head over here and let's have a chat. Here you go. On the stage, Calicu. Ready, set. What is it? What is Calicu? For folks that don't know, just getting straight into it. Oh no. Okay. Oh, okay. Hang on.
Hello. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Great. We're here.
How's it going? Sorry to upend things, but did you want to do an intro?
Yeah. Maybe the next slide and
Next
then you
slide.
can see my head. There I am. I usually look like that person that's doing full paparazzi at all of these type of events. So if you see me, I'm usually that. You've probably seen my face at a bunch of other places like blockchain APAC events and DeFi events. Um, anyway, just to give you guys a bit of an intro, I'm Josephine Dako. I'm one of the co-founders of Calicu, and I sound very American because I am. I came to Australia in 2009 through an engineering firm called GHD. You might have heard of it, and got seconded over here for like a year to do their visual and style brand guidelines that were in a major like mergers and acquisitions, global expansion type thing. So I was co-leading that charge, and we had to work in collaboration with their global IS teams. And so I had a lot of experience working with technical people. My father is an engineer, so I'm quite used to the verbiage around all of that. Anyway, I've worked with a lot of different startups and small businesses and teams and across the creative industries, engineering, and software. But yeah, I basically well, long story short, I stayed here because I fell in love with my boss's stepson.
As you do.
Got married on 10-10-10. We're both a bit nerdy because I like ones and zeros. So
That's good.
we're coming up to 15 years this year.
Congratulations. Wow.
Yeah, I'm writing a book about it, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Anyway, Calicu. This time last year, maybe next slide. What were we doing? Well, basically a community. We're connecting leaders in Web3, metaverse, and AI. When we say leaders, we're talking about female leaders specifically. As you know, we're quite a rare breed in this domain. So we identified a need in the market. It was a bit fragmented around, let's say 2021, 22. And my co-founder and I, Patricia, you probably know who she is as well. She's across the whole like metaverse space. Um, we were like, hey, you know a bunch of women and I know a bunch of women, and how come nobody knows who they are? We need to put them up and make sure that they're elevated, their profiles are accessible, and you can access them through a directory that's just online and open. And so we're like, let's just make a website. So we put them all up. We reached out to all of our contacts and we said, hey, can we put you up on this directory? Make it easy for the different startups and companies to find all of these amazing women who are working and building in the space. Let's do that. So we're made calicu.com. Our mission is to drive economic opportunities. That's specifically, for the women in the space who are looking to either pivot into the space or are looking for a career in the space. And then change the culture because we know the culture needs help. Next slide. How it started. I started at Zed Run. How many of you guys owned a digital racehorse? Yeah, okay. It was one of the first, actually, major Web3 gaming companies. Formed out of Australia. It got really big across the US because America. And basically, connected with a bunch of the women in that network through that time. It was very small. There weren't that many of us. And so what we did was when we created Calicu, we just reached out and we started hosting all of these different events. I always love coming back here because Stone and Chalk was one of the first, very first supporters of our community. Shout out to Jackie, just incredible support. They hosted one of our first like cybersecurity safety and stuff. Yeah, and we had that here, and then a year later we got a residency at the Commons, which was a 1-year scholarship. It was really great, and we held events there. It made it really easy and accessible. It just provided that gateway for a lot of women who were kind of just dipping their heads in, like coming from marketing, coming from comms, HR, you name it, wanting to look into the space and wondering, you know, how do I get in? What is it? What is Web3? Like, is it safe? And we were just there to kind of be that beacon of hope where it's not scary. It's not all bros. We're here. So these are all just kind of snapshots of us getting involved in different events, and also, you know, everything from East Global to South by Southwest Sydney last year. And next slide.
One sec. Sorry, just waiting for the tech to load. There we go. Did that work? One more? There we go.
Yep. So South by Southwest Sydney, we had such a great, it was like a great standout event last year. A lot of women came, showed up, were really interested in the topic, and we're looking to continue that again this year. We've put in a submission, so hopefully that will come through, and then we will keep you all updated on when that's happening. And also at South by Southwest Sydney last year, we announced our first collaborative partnership with Helix Collective, which is a venture studio in Redfern. They're just such an awesome group of people. My gosh, they're building some amazing products. And one of the key people there, her name is Amanda Austin. She actually apologizes. She wanted to be here tonight, but she's hosting a Web3 builders workshop at Helix.
It's a good excuse. That's okay. Yeah.
And every first Friday, we have an opportunity for all of our community members to come in and co-work with us and just collaborate, connect with, you know, over coffee. Yeah, chill out.
Next slide. Yeah.
And last bit, if you could save the date, we are having our next annual event celebrating 2 years of Calicu, and it'll be June 12th. And if you have any interest in being a sponsor or getting involved in some way, please contact Amanda. Otherwise, if you know of any women that are not on calicu.com in our directory, please give us a shout. Point them to calicu.com/get involved, because there's a leadership application on there, and they can just fill it out, and then we'll go from there. Speaking of leaders in our directory, you get to hear from one of the amazing leaders that we have here, who is also one of our key board members, Katerina.
Katerina's been coming to a lot of our events when you were in the country. I think it's a bit harder to come to these when you're not living in the country.
A little bit.
There is that. But yeah, I think this is the first time we've had you up on stage.
Second.
I can't count.
No, the first one, I had a different startup at that point too, but it was down at the old place, and yeah, so second time. But can I just mention who we've got coming to the events to the event on June the 12th? There's 2 confirmed amazing speakers coming. One of them is Dr. Catherine Ball, who's a futurist and amazing. She's been talking about off-planet economy, Mars, all of that way before you heard it from Elon. And also Simone Clow, who is actually in the US at the moment and very much into the Gen AI, metaverse AI, and all that sort of thing. So they're just the first 2 that are confirmed. So that's going to be amazing to see those. But Dr. Catherine Ball, you can just listen to her all night. She's amazing. So yeah, but anyway, so thank you. And yeah, second time. The first time I had a blockchain marketing company and realized that startups got no money. Like, so it was just like, I was in marketing, I was trying to help, I was doing everything for free. But so what I'm doing now is I'm tokenizing, it's a big call, tokenizing a $4.25 billion luxury fashion industry. So basically, the third largest currency in the world after the US dollar and the euro is loyalty points. So that in Australia, it's actually the second. So each year, about $300 billion worth of points are issued. So apart from solving a problem that I saw with this startup, I thought that was a great opportunity to tap into $4.25 billion. So I have started Immersify. And we built Immersify because the problem is in store, retail in store. And if you are in a startup, if you are doing anything like that, it starts with a problem. It's like, what's your problem? What's your issue? And how I got into it, if I go back to my early days with the guys here, I think I was like the second event or something like that. I've been coming here since. And then they stalked, and it was a whole other thing. So, but I was actually just a trader. I was simply trading from 2018, I think it was. I started, and then I was teaching. I was in Bitcoin, and then I've been investing for so long. I started teaching women how to invest, not what to invest, but where to look, what to do, and how to think about investing. And then from there, I went very deep into crypto. It was all about the charts and everything. And then I'm like, the bull market's over. What does this shit do, basically? Like, how can it help our everyday lives? And I think my first deep dive was in the Oasis protocol, so checking out Rose and how it did all the interoperability, and I'm like, oh, this stuff. And then the NFT craze came. I'm like, okay, all right, there's something here. There's a bit more than just nice pictures. So as I've dived into the actual use case of a lot of these of blockchain, really, at the end of the day, this is where I solved the problem of retail and what's happening in retail. Now, yes, it might be a bit of a girly thing, but for you guys, trust me, it will be beneficial to you too. There is an area of retail that has loyalty, and there is a VIP area that people don't tend to know about. But I am very much B2B, but it is B2B to C, because we want to benefit the customer at the end of the day. I did want to make this more about tokenization, considering the market, the audience I have here. But at the end of the day, it's a loyalty program that is going to be buy-in membership. Now, out there, you don't talk NFTs, you don't talk blockchain. It scares them. It really does scare them still. So, which is a shame, because that's all you want to do. When you're so involved in all of it, all you want to do is, and it's blockchain, it's got the smart contracts on there as well, so we're going to make sure you're all okay, and then the customer will just buy an NFT, and look, we've got the wallet covered, it's fine, no problem. They're like, out, see it. You just mentioned all of that. Like, no, they don't want to hear about it. So I had to rework everything, and spending my time in marketing for the last 25 years, I had to rethink the way I did this. So anyway, we're building Immersify because the problem in store, the retail section was broken, really. Like, when was the last time you walked in store and had a good experience? Like, hey, no. I did before COVID hit, and I would have spent a lot more in store had they known, giving me that service, or even known. So I've actually built Immersify. We're about to launch next month into our first store. In Jamaica. That was a whole thing as well. They're crazy over there, I got to tell you. But they're open arms. We are so innovative here, and spending all that time there in between there, Miami and New York. Australians are so innovative. We just don't have the backing here, which is so unfortunate, and we've got to go overseas for it. They're not as smart over there as we are here. Honestly, they just, well, there is, but they're just able to get the backing easier. And anyway, so the problem in store broken. We see the generations, current generations, future generations, Gen Alphas, Gen Zs. They all look online, but 80% buy in store. And stores are losing their aspirational customers. So how do we make this easier? How do we make it better? We tokenize their memberships and they earn loyalty points from there. They can sell their memberships as well if they're not getting the great experience. So it's going to be a bit of a buy-in. They'll sell it. There's community. We've got AI stylists. We've got body scans. We actually have about 7 startups in one, but stage 1 is, yeah, it's crazy. Stage 1 is clienteling. So if you ever walk into a luxury store, your Louis Vuitton, your Hermes, if you're lucky to go in there and you're a loyal customer, they're going to know who you are. And that's purely on their manual clienteling. So I've digitized all of that through NFTs and blockchain and notifications coming into store. And so even if they've never met you before, they're going to know what you want, how you like it, and how hot you want your coffee. So, and if your dog's got a birthday or not. But so you're having all that hyper-personalization come into it as well. The AI will be the stylist, giving salespeople recommendations. The body scan will be the sizing as well. So all that's going to be in there, and it's for that mid to contemporary luxury fashion. So your high-end luxury have got it already because they can afford to do it on store. The next lot don't, and that's the $4.25 billion that we're going after. Empowering sales associates with live customer intel, but it's all about data ownership as well, which is pretty huge, especially, what was it yesterday, the day before, the banks, how many banks, our data's gone again, it's crazy. So this is a lot about data ownership. The more you share though, the better experience you're going to get. And if you don't want to share, you don't have to. So, if we just go to the next one, this is just basically the overview of why we're tokenizing, and it's basically the uniqueness and ownership. Currently, if you're a member or some of anywhere, you can walk in and say, yes, my name is, Josephine can walk in and use my details and get all my perks that I have on my current membership if they don't know who I am. So that was a big one, the security, transparency, transferability. Because if I've got a membership at one store, I can't transfer it to another right now. So that's happening as well. The enhanced rewards and engagements, data and insights, zero-party data, which is huge. They're currently on cookies, which aren't reliable. They were going, they're not going, maybe, we don't know. So let's not rely on that. So zero-party data, first-party data gives brands a lot better insights and also gives them better opportunity to make decisions for future, which is a sustainability aspect as well. So why we need the change, it's really limited personalization, obviously the security and etc. And just give them, as I said, that better data utilization. I can go on and on and on, but it did for you. Just to make sure that, just going through here, basically the journey goes through, it's all about the customer journey, but I'm going into brands to start with, and it's crazy to think that I can't say NFTs. So, but when I go into the loyalty sector, when I start selling to them after the proof of concept is done, then we can talk more data and everything. So just if you are building, if you're thinking of building, just know that 80% of the people don't want to know that technical stuff. In that, if you're looking at that sort of that world of adaptability, they just want it to work. They absolutely just want, okay, this is not working. How do we make it better? I don't need to know the details of it. So basically, we're just upgrading loyalty programs, your retail experience, and tokenizing it as well, but empowering human first. So that was it. Oh, and if you want to be part of the beta program as well, I'd love you to join up just on immersify.xyz. Oh my God, I'm American, I'm XYZing. Yum on. So we'll get, I had to put a yum on in there somewhere. I vow to have a Jamaican accent when I get back in 3 years. So yeah, we're wanting all the testers we can, because right now we are self-funding. So anyone that can come on for testing, because I've held off going out for funding for quite some time. And if the store that comes on is someone you like, then you'll be free. You'll get free memberships. So everything will be free for you to start with. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Amazing. And if you want to learn more about like the events and the other things that are going on with Calicu, then yeah, please do stick around and for the networking, which is starting in about 15 minutes or so. But Josephine and Katerina, thank you so much. It's interesting with the loyalty things, right? Like you might buy someone else's loyalty thing, and it's like, oh, welcome, Mr. Montfort. This is your 17th pair of lingerie. Maybe, who knows? Yeah, exactly. And it could be true. Anyway, Chris, could I get you back up on stage? Back up. Chris never appears on stage, folks. This is like Phantom of the Opera. We're gonna see his face for the first time ever. Do you want to sit here? Stand here. So you want to stand here? All right, fine. All right.
Wow, so this is what it feels like to be on the other side of the stage. This is really weird. Hi everyone. Make this really quick. A mate of mine, Matt, we're starting a masterclass in UX and how AI can apply to that. As you know, if any product and designers out there, AI is quickly taking over a lot of the work that we do, but there's still a lot of relevance in that, particularly from a strategic side of things and how customers and clients alike can better improve how their products get to market. So we're creating a masterclass on how to serve that. We're at very early stage. We're looking for people to sign up and show some interest. So check out our page if you can. Give us a bit of any name and email, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on, and you'll get some special benefits for joining early. That's it for me.
Get out of here. You can see why Chris isn't up on stage that much. I'm just joking. I am joking. The man is a legend. He's a myth, but he's also anyway. So yeah, Chris and I do another show called Digital Nexus, which is all about AI. And we really don't care about we're just going to talk about this kind of stuff anyway because we do it at work, and you can tell because we don't have that many subscribers. So you should check out Digital Nexus on YouTube as well. We're going to get to another one which is more about the universities. But before I go on, just with what Chris had there about the UX stuff, what Katerina was talking about with getting something out to market and testing, I heard a really interesting podcast, and it's a bit of a no-brainer, but it was talking about how a lot of people are just, whether you're in blockchain, AI, or any other kind of industry, people are just afraid to quickly get stuff out to market. You think you have to perfect it. You think it has to look really great. And sure, there's definitely, you can't just have a piece of paper that you put out there unless you're selling paper and you're from Dunder Mifflin or something, but you need to get stuff out to test as soon as possible, because you could spend a whole lot of time, even if the testing is just to your friends, even if the testing is just to folks in the country that you're in rather than going global, whatever the testing is, I applaud and I implore people to get stuff out, your ideas, that even if it's just an idea. Applause to those who just get ideas out there to see if it's worthwhile, because you don't want to spend a whole lot of time. There's a difference between spending time to educate yourself on blockchain or AI, to learn how it works and to tinker, and just doing stuff because one day you're going to write the great American novel, or the next great American tool, or Australian, it's Canva or it's Immutable. Get stuff out there and really test, and you've got a community here that will help and listen. Next up on stage, let's get our friends at UNCB up. Hari, come on down. All right, here we go.
Hi guys, it's great to see all of your beautiful faces again. I've met some of you, most of you. For those who don't know me, my name's Harry. I'm president of UNCB. I also work on the investments team at Primal. But basically, what UNCB does is UNCB stands for University Network of Crypto and Blockchain. Basically, we are a network of all the uni clubs in Sydney and now Melbourne. And basically, our goal is to onboard the next generation of Web3 talent. We do educational events, we do trading events, we do career events. My passion's for career events. Basically, a year ago, we didn't have a banner or a bank account. and we've been growing really quickly. In the last 6 months, we've done events with all of the big names: Stand with Crypto, Coinbase, Binance, Immutable, Independent Reserve, like, everyone. Oh, well, not everyone, but we want to do events with everyone. Yeah, and so basically, if you're building something really cool with a lot of real world impact, with us, it's really showcasing the potential and the adoption of the technology to the next generation of students and really getting them interested, showing them the potential of everything that's happening. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to me after this event's over if you're interested in doing an event. I know that Mark and I are in discussion about doing at least 1 or 2 joint events this year. And so, yeah, we're really keen to chat. On top of that, not to compete at all with Kevin at Proof of Search, but we also do have the best emerging talent in Web3. So if you're building something cool and you're looking for a developer, you're looking for an analyst, you're looking for a marketer, a community manager, whatever it is, come reach out, because we've got a lot of young, hungry students. Crypto is an industry that does not discriminate based on age. I love that. And so, yeah, like we have contacts throughout Sydney, throughout Melbourne, and crypto is such a global industry. We're connected through the entire college ecosystem as well. I literally run a liquid fund with Cambridge. I'm connected with all of the big clubs around the world. So if you're all building something cool and you want to host an event, please reach out. Or if you're looking for any emerging talent, please reach out as well. Yeah, thanks everyone.
I love the logo, and if you are looking for banking, can you guess which bank they might be going after? I don't know. I think it's great. It'd be harder for them to, if they see it just come across their desk, because it's all papers and stuff. No, it's not, but like I think it's easier. So good luck. And yeah, after class, I think we're gonna see an arm wrestling competition potentially between Hari and Kevin. Maybe I'd rather see a collaboration. Though. So let's see. That's what this space is about. If you look at so some things that are coming up. So the Reserve Bank of Australia in 2023 did a pilot of central bank digital currency. It was wholesale only for most of the projects, so it doesn't touch retail, and it was just a test. And we'd rather see them test than just mandate that it gets pushed down. We did a construction pilot project because blockchain is the only kind of tech where you can have escrows in a digital fashion that don't need lawyers, bankers, accountants, and are low cost. And it means that a project that would normally never touch escrows, a $20,000 tiling job in Queensland, got done with 3 escrows on there. You wouldn't even have one on something like this unless it was $1 million contract. It's not worth it. Blockchain lowers the barriers of entry, and it provides a whole lot of that security. So some really interesting stuff. We're going to get to the networking part next, but I mentioned the RBA. ADHD is kicking in. I mentioned the RBA thing because pretty soon, hopefully before the next event, you will hear a few things on the announcement of which blockchains they're going to be using to do the next test, which is wholesale tokenized assets. So think of business transfers, stuff done between the banks, securitization, traditional finance kind of things that are very inefficient, that are very non-transparent, and working on blockchain, you're going to see a lot of collaboration there between partners. And so my counsel Arturo, he's going to be working on something with our team on that, as well as like with some other groups. So you should be able to hear about that. We haven't been accepted yet, so this is not an acknowledgement of acceptance. The RBA will do that announcement, but just like last time, it made some great headlines and really interesting projects to see. We'll see that coming up again. We've also got DECA doing something in June, which is their, I don't know if it's a blockchain week, but they're doing something on the Gold Coast. It's DECA week. It is blockchain week? DECA week. Okay, cool. So Digital Economy Council of Australia used to be called Blockchain Australia. They're doing DECA week in the Gold Coast. I'll be on a panel up there along with a few others. You'll see the great community. You should see something up on their page. I believe it's deca.org.au. But if you can't find that, do check with me. And like I said, if you didn't grab that QR code before, if any of the codes that you need, just come see me. I can help out with that. But Favoration are doing that big hackathon. We're going to be coming up with something as well. So keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be some really interesting stuff. So for folks that are online and folks that are here, I will get to the last part. Chris, can you actually click on the last thing? There's a QR code. Oh yeah, we're on Luma. You found us because you probably saw the Luma QR code up there. And yeah, that is it. So get to the networking, folks. We're here till about 8:30 or so until I have to shout and kick you out. Thank you. Right, get out.